This is the Gospel of St. Luke, the 6th chapter, verses 27 through 36. But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. And if someone slaps you on one cheek, turn the other also. If someone takes your coat, do not withhold your shirt from them. Give to everyone who asks you. And if anyone takes what belongs to you, do not demand it back. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what is the credit to you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who are good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. And if you lend to those from whom you expect repayment, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners, expecting to be repaid in full. But love your enemies, do good to them, and lend to them without expecting anything back. Then your reward will be great. You will be children of the Most High, because he is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. The Gospel of our Lord. Let's pray. Gracious God, we thank you for this time, this day. I decrease that you might increase. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and Redeemer. I'm excited to be able to share with you on this Bishop's Commemoration Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. video. I'm Pastor Jonathan Hemphill, and I serve as the assistant to the Bishop for Congregational Life here in the Southeastern Synod. And for a short while, I want you to consider this idea with me. Let mercy roll down like water. Let mercy roll down like water. It is sometimes easier said than done to love one's enemy, to be kind to those who do evil against you, to smile in the face of hatred, to stand up when it seems as if at every turn your character is assassinated, not because of content, but because of the color of your skin. It is easier said than done to turn the other cheek, to let words roll off like water, to not get anxious in the face of bigotry, brutality, and marginalization. It is easier said than done to be resilient, to go high when they go low, to ascend higher value when you are cut down by trauma and atrocities committed time over and time again. It is easier said than done when you are dragged through a legal system of injustice while demanding a justice verdict only at the onset of the last straw, to seem as if you never win. Rodney King coined the phrase, "Why can't we just get along?" And while these words were the sentiment of a black man who was beaten by 4 white police officers in Los Angeles, Dr. King perhaps said it a different way in his speech, "I have a dream." And here we are some years later, and Eric Gardner has said, "I can't breathe." George Floyd said, "Get your foot off my neck." Ahmaud Arbery said, "I was just out for a jog." Sandra Bland said, "Say my name." Emmett Till said, "It wasn't me." And the 4 little girls in the Birmingham church in the bombing of 1963 said, "I'm just a child." And 7 souls in Charleston, South Carolina at a Bible study said, "Come and sit with us." It seems easier said than done. And I reckon that in the year 2022, we have come this far by faith, and we sing this song with great adulation for the faith of our journey, the faith of our forefathers and our foremothers and our ancestors and those who have gone on ahead of us. But we must also sing this same song with trepidation. Because while faith has led us forward, we are still struggling with mercy. And while faith has opened doors and have allowed us time on this side of glory, justice is still the order of the day. And while we can celebrate the faith of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we can celebrate the life and even lift the legacy of Dr. King, I wonder if we celebrate the cause of Dr. King. His cause was for us to be equal, for all of God's children to be one, to unify us across the spectrum without divides of the have and the have-nots, for us to all see that we're all precious in God's sight. There's not a one of us that's more precious than the other, and it doesn't matter our orientation. It does not matter the hue of our skin, the socioeconomic family that we was born into. It does not matter our political affiliation. If you have breath in your body and when you are human, you matter. You make a difference. You deserve mercy. You deserve love over hatred. And while we can erect chapels and memorialize scholarships and build buildings and dedicate monuments to Dr. King, how about we erect mindsets and political agendas in our justice system alike? It's not enough to just celebrate the man. We must also heed his message and take courage in his fight for equality for all. And here we are in 2022. We still marching. We still dreaming, we still believing, we still holding on, we still organizing, we're still gathering, we're still protesting, we're still crying. But at the same time, we're still being gunned down, and we're still being cut down, and we're still separated, we're still undervalued and underappreciated and underpaid and still threatened. We are still in the fight for our lives, for mercy. Friends, there is a call that says, when is enough? Enough. When do we get sick and tired of being sick and tired? When do we rise above the realities of racism and bigotry, sexism, and denigrations of the rights of people just to live their lives? When do we act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly? We can sing, we shall overcome, but when do we actually overcome? We can sing kumbaya, but when do we actually find harmony? We can sing, lift every voice and sing, but when does every voice join the chorus? There is work to do. There's prayers to pray. There's laws to be changed and justice to uphold. There are wrongs to right and captives to be free and blinded eyes to open and ears to hear. There is much work ahead of us, and our text calls us today to consider mercy. I've been thinking a lot about this idea of mercy, this concept of mercy, and what does mercy require us to do, and what is this mercy asking of us? What is this text asking us to do, and how then do we lean into the task of mercy? In our prayers, we pray every Sunday in our congregations, Lord, in your mercy. And often our response is, hear our prayers. While we can pray for mercy, I wonder, how do we learn to give mercy? Luke, he calls us to live counter-cultural. That's right. In a world where people don't get along, where people are out for themselves, in a world where people are divided, and where people can be scandalous, and people abuse power, and people oppress people, and people are cold and callous and cruel and mean, and where children are taught to hate and divide and become bullies, and we create spaces of intolerance in a world where there's separatism and judgment and body shame and alienation, in a world where we can see somebody hungry and pass them up, in a world where we can meet a need yet we don't meet a need, in a world where there is all of these things happening yet there's no response. Luke calls us to live countercultural. That text is asking for some of us to do what seems so unnatural. It says to love, to turn, to do good, to be kind, to be generous. And that is sometimes the hardest thing for some of us to do, especially in a world that is opposite. But that's the message here. That's who Dr. King was. He embodied opposite. His life, his legacy, his work was opposite. He was calling us to live non-violently, to live peaceably, to have mercy just as we received mercy, to be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ in the world around us, to be light in darkness. He was asking what Luke requires us and what Jesus died for our sake has taught us, to be countercultural. Beloved, this is not just another King Day celebration in the world. This is not merely just the bishop's commemoration of a day that just happened in history. This is not just another day that we get off from school or off from work. This must become our life's work. We must embody the work, the mission, the message, and the legacy of King. Because when we do this, we live into this text that is asking us to love those who hate us. We learn to turn the other cheek, not in a gesture to give up or to become docile, but perhaps in a gesture of mercy. And perhaps that is the power position. In a gesture of kindness, perhaps that is an upward position. In a gesture of forgiveness, perhaps that is the position of love, and where love is found. And we are to create a new world, friends. And if the world is going to become better, it must be built on kindness and justice and freedom and mercy for all. Not just for some, not for those who look like me, not for those I like, not for those that are a part of the in crowd, but mercy for everybody. No matter where you come from or who you are. Dr. King said, hate is too much a burden to bear. I've decided to stick with love. And I don't know about you, but I too, like Dr. King and like the writer Luke too, have decided that I'd rather stick with mercy than to hold grudges and create issues and challenges for people that have done nothing to me. I'd rather too stick with ways of finding peace and justice rather than hostility and malice. I'd rather dismantle a system of oppression that creates wall that keeps some in and some out. I'd rather tear down dividing walls of hostility and conquer the fear of people and learn to love. Love is the greatest work we can do. Love is the order of the day. Love changes things. Love makes a difference, and mercy is too great a work for us to just casually bypass, because it was mercy that God has shown all of us. Look at, I wish I was in the child. Say, look at your neighbor and tell him God's mercy has followed us. It was mercy when God in Genesis saw that we had fallen short, yet he put a plan into place that would redeem all mankind. It was mercy that drove the children of Israel out of Pharaoh's hand. It was mercy that gave David the strength to fight Goliath. It was mercy that delivered Job when he had nothing left but to trust in God and for God to see him through. It was mercy that allowed us in Hebrews to approach the throne of grace with confidence. It was mercy that died on Calvary's cross and rose again that we might have life. It was mercy that followed us, and goodness and mercy shall follow us all of the days of our lives. And if you could just take a moment and look back over your life and think things over, it's been mercy that's gotten you from point A to point B. It's been mercy that's watched over your family. It was mercy that got you over the highways and the byways. And if you were here watching this video presentation, almost 2 years into a pandemic that's wiped out millions of people, it was mercy that has followed and kept your life. Mercy has rolled down like water. And so, dear friends, my prayer coupled with my voice is this: let mercy roll down like water into our streets where violence plagues our communities. Let mercy roll down like water into our hearts so that we may love everyone no matter who they are. Let mercy roll down like water into our legal system so that all that are innocent go free. Let mercy roll down like water into our children so they grow up loving people. They grow up being kind and treating people with respect and dignity. Let mercy roll down like water into our education system, that we teach truth coupled with integrity, and that we educate the least of these with the same instruction as those with greater resources. Let mercy roll down like water into our churches, that we don't casually spectate, but we actively participate and stand for justice and righteousness and liberty and freedom, that we stand for the cause of Christ. Let mercy roll down in a world where the next Dr. Kings and persons will be shaped and groomed to be raised up as civil rights leaders and activists. And let mercy roll down here into the Southeastern Synod, where we don't back down or shy away from speaking out and against atrocities committed to people, but we continue to equip, empower, and engage God's people to love and serve. Friends, let mercy roll down like water, into which we are baptized and live into this freedom forever and ever and ever. And all God's people say, amen. Amen.